Buckle up, stay with us for the entire hour. We will give you information, I promise, and perspective that you will not get anywhere else, as the media is once again beside themselves with false reporting, speculation, and hysteria. Yes, Paul Manafort was found guilty after a Northern Virginia jury found him guilty of 8 out of 18 counts. Jurors forced a mistrial on the other 10 charges after becoming deadlocked. Now, more evidence, Mueller stacking charges he couldn't prove to scare Manafort, as Judge Ellis said in the beginning, into singing or composing, and he was never really ready for an actual trial. By the way, Manafort worked for Trump a little over 100 days, and as we've said so many times, these are decades-old bank charges, tax fraud charges, zero to do with Russia collusion, zero to do with Donald Trump or the Trump campaign. Now, meanwhile, more breaking news today, this time in New York. Michael Cohen, he pled guilty to 8 federal charges, including bank, tax fraud, 2 minor campaign finance violations. Far worse crimes, by the way, committed by others. They didn't get charged. Earlier today, Bret Baier raised this very, very important question. Let's take a look.
The campaign finance violation, because the way he phrased it, that he was directed by the candidate to do that and submitted that money to be repaid by the Trump organization, that is a direct liability. But I can already see the battle lines being drawn here legally, because I just got an email saying that the fact that he pleads guilty to campaign violations does not mean that the payments were criminal violations. This did not go to trial. And you have people like former FEC Chairman Bradley Smith saying that payment is not a violation, which is what Rudy Giuliani was saying in his interview earlier. So that you can already begin to see the Trump lawyers potentially and others making the case that this would not be a violation. Obviously, the prosecutor is saying that it is, and Michael Cohen is on the hook for it right now.
And meanwhile, many of the other charges against Michael Cohen surround, let's see, we go from Russia to the family taxi medallion company. Once again, these charges have nothing to do with Russian collusion. From Russia collusion to taxi cabs. Hello? Now, President Trump's attorney, Rudy Giuliani, released this statement. It reads, quote, "There is no allegation of any wrongdoing against the president in the government's charges against Mr. Cohen. It is clear that, as the prosecutor noted, Mr. Cohen's actions reflect a pattern of lies and dishonesties over a significant period of time." Now, while Michael Cohen did say today, I would argue, knowing him all the years I've known him, probably forced by prosecutors, he's changed his story about whether or not Trump knew about the payment to Stormy Daniels and Karen McDougal. Back in March, he claimed, quote, Trump did not know that he paid Clifford the $130,000. A month earlier, the New York Times, Mr. Paper of Record, that said the same thing. He paid the money out of his own pocket, quote, without Trump's knowledge. And today, we learned one more piece of breaking news about another Mueller target, and that's former National Security Advisor Lieutenant General Michael Flynn. His sentencing has now been delayed for a 4th time. 2017, he pled guilty to lying to the FBI, even though James Comey later testified that, in fact, investigators did not believe that Flynn had intentionally lied. Again, this guilty plea, nothing to do with Russia. Russia to tax returns, to fraud, to bank applications, to taxi medallions, to lying to the FBI. Nothing about Russia. Neither did the guilty plea from the Trump campaign volunteer, George Papadopoulos, whose wife was on last night. He pled guilty to lying to investigators. His wife, Mrs. Papadopoulos, now weighing in on his legal options and that he may withdraw that plea. Without a doubt, let's be straightforward here. It is wrong. There are lessons to learn from today. Don't ever knowingly lie to the FBI. Do not lie on a bank loan application ever or commit bank fraud. Pay your taxes. But did we need Robert Mueller for all of this? Think about this. How do you go from an investigation into Russia collusion in the 2016 election, and this is what we have? Taxes from years and years ago? Bank fraud, medallions, lying to the FBI. Where's the Russia stuff? Would any of these people that we're talking about tonight have been investigated or charged if not for their connection to Donald Trump? Is it also a lesson, okay, don't lie to the FBI, pay your taxes, don't lie in a bank application, Don't be friends with Donald Trump? Is this not now the witch hunt the president has been saying, an attempt to turn the screws, as Judge Ellis says about Manafort, to would-be witnesses to find dirt on one man? In other words, so that they'll sing or compose to either prosecute or impeach the president of the United States. And if so, how is that not political selective persecution and not prosecution? Now, I don't care if you're liberal or conservative, we better take a very close look at where this country is today. We did learn valuable lessons. Pay your taxes, don't lie on a loan application, don't lie to the FBI. But this is it? Robert Mueller? Are you proud of this? Did we need you for 500 days for this? How did we go from Russia collusion to this? Now, today, the president reacted to Mueller's ongoing witch hunt. Let's take a look at his reaction.
I feel badly for both. I must tell you that Paul Manafort's a good man. He was with Ronald Reagan. He was with a lot of different people over the years, and I feel very sad about that. It doesn't involve me, but I still feel, it's a very sad thing that happened. This has nothing to do with Russian collusion. This started as Russian collusion. This has absolutely nothing to do. This is a witch hunt, and it's a disgrace. But this has nothing to do what they started out, looking for Russians involved in our campaign. There were none. This is the way it ends up. And it was not the original mission, believe me. It was something very much different. So, had nothing to do with Russian collusion. We continue the witch hunt.
Hang on, I'm looking for Russians. I'm looking, oh. Now tonight, it's not funny, because these are real people's lives. These are real families. This is way beyond what this mandate was. And every American that cares about our constitutional republic, the rule of law, equal application of our laws, you better be concerned tonight. Now, in West Virginia, the president raised an important question. Where's the collusion? He raised it again. Let's watch.
Fake news and the Russian witch hunt. We got a whole big combination. Where is the collusion? You know, they're still looking for collusion. Where is the collusion? Find some collusion. We want to find the collusion.
Hate to say it, equal justice under the law, equal application of our laws is dead. And I will explain in a minute. Cohen and Manafort are literally prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law for bank and for tax frauds, etc. Let's take a look at some prominent liberals tonight, shall we, that committed similar crimes. They didn't face the same consequences. Remember tax cheat Tim Geithner? Oh, it's a name you haven't heard in a while. Underpaid his taxes tens of thousands of dollars over the course of multiple years before becoming Obama's first Treasury Secretary. Whoops, no indictment for him. Remember Al Sharpton? Remember now? Used to be a guest on this show. Works at Conspiracy TV, MSNBC. Reportedly once owed millions of dollars in back taxes to the IRS. He was also fined $285,000 by the FEC over an illicit political donation. Of course, Sharpton, he's enjoying his freedom, cushy job talking about Michael Cohen and everybody else over at NBC. And let's not forget about, remember former New York Congressman Charlie Rangel? Remember the picture of him laying on that beach chair? He failed to pay taxes on tens of thousands of dollars in real estate income. Rangel censored in the House of Representatives. He's now enjoying his retirement. Then there's former Democratic Senator Tom Daschle. Remember Rush used to talk about the Tom Daschle show? He failed to pay more than $128 grand in taxes. And look at this. Oh, even the Obama campaign in 2008, they were hit with a mere fine, which at the time was a lot, $375 grand, for campaign reporting violations over $2 million worth. Cohen is now getting prison time. Somehow Team Mueller missed all of those crimes. Wait, because there was no connection to President Trump. In today's two-tier justice system, as a Democrat, clearly you can commit financial fraud and get away with it. By the way, that's just the tip of the iceberg. If you're a Democrat and you have subpoenaed information, well, first of all, you can mishandle and destroy classified information, which violates the Espionage Act clearly. You can have top intelligence, and then you can delete subpoenaed emails. Not one, not 10, 33,000 of them, and acid wash your hard drive with bleach bit and eliminate the evidence, and then have an aide smash up your devices with hammers and get away with it. And you can even have an exoneration written months before you're even investigated. And by the way, the guy that is doing the interview of you hates your opponent, loves you. Your name is Donald Trump, or you're associated with Donald Trump your entire life. It's going to be scoured for potential crimes. Well, your doors will be kicked down late at night, early in the morning raised. The screws are going to be turned, as Judge Ellis said, and they will ask you to sing or compose, or you'll go to jail for crimes that other people have committed and don't go to jail for. Ask Paul Manafort tonight. Ask Michael Cohen tonight. Ask General Flynn. Boy, he served his country for 30 years. Not even the guy that interviewed him at the FBI thought he lied. Not even Comey thought he lied. Not even Peter Strzok thought he lied. Ask George Papadopoulos. I bet he regrets volunteering for the Trump campaign. Just ask the White House counsel, Don McGahn. Oh, the White House counsel for the president interrogated by Mueller's team for 30 full hours. Trump thinks, his lawyers thought, well, we'll cooperate. We'll turn over 1.4 million documents. We'll cooperate with Mueller, and it'll go away because we didn't do anything wrong. And the most exculpatory evidence is in Comey's notes. I didn't collude. I didn't conspire. But if anybody on my team did, you got to hold them accountable. Those were in Comey's notes. Now, Mueller's witch hunt is not and has never been about Russia collusion. How did we get to taxi cabs and tax fraud and bank fraud and lies to the FBI? This is what we have been telling you for a long time. And we have the evidence. It is an attempt at a political takedown of the man that the deep state never wanted to be the president of the United States. I will tell you tonight that the sovereignty of your vote is now in question. Before we get to our guests, we have another important topic to cover. For weeks, FoxNews.com has been following the heart-wrenching story out of Iowa. On July 18th, a 20-year-old college student, young girl, all a future potential life ahead of her, Molly Tibbetts, went missing. Today, sadly, her body was recovered, and now the police have arrested an illegal immigrant they believe is responsible for her murder. Watch this.
A first-degree murder charge was filed today in connection with the disappearance of Molly Tibbetts, who was last seen jogging in Brooklyn, Iowa on July 18, 2018. A complaint and affidavit names Christian Bahina Rivera, age 24, who resides in rural Poweshiek County, and he has been charged with murder in the first degree. We have confirmed with Homeland Security investigations that he is an illegal alien, and we believe he has been in this area now for 4 to 7 years.
What happened to this young woman, Molly Tibbetts, is a senseless, evil, horrific crime. Now we're believed and charges against an illegal immigrant. Tonight, we extend our deepest condolences, our prayers to her family and her friends. We'll get to all of that in the